Hello, and welcome to the dungeon. I'm your host, Rob. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Phantom Rogue, which is one of the newer ones, I guess, from Tasha's. I mean, Tasha's isn't exactly new either these days, but you know what I'm saying. So let's just jump straight in. At level 3, we get Whispers of the Dead. Echoes of those who have died cling to you. Whenever you finish a short or long rest, you can choose one skill or tool proficiency that you lack and gain it as the ghostly presence shares its knowledge with you. You lose this proficiency when you use this feature to choose a different proficiency that you lack. So that's kind of cool. I mean, especially if you know you're going to need a specific proficiency coming up. You know, you can just get whatever proficiency you want. It's even better when you get reliable talent, of course. However, it does kind of require you to sort of know what you're going to need if you really want to get the most out of it. I mean, granted, you could just take a common proficiency like, I don't know, persuasion or something like that, and just get proficiency on that, even if you didn't necessarily start the game with it, right? Sleight of hand, something like that. There's a lot of good ones you might want to use, especially if you're looking to be kind of sneaky, dexterous type. And you could just leave it there and have an extra proficiency, essentially, with the option of changing it under specific circumstances. It's not bad. I don't know that it's huge either, but, it's not bad. We also get Wails from the Grave, though. This is really the core ability that people are looking to get from this subclass. So, immediately after you deal your sneak attack damage to a creature on your turn, you can target a second creature that you can see within 30 feet of the first creature. Roll half the number of sneak attack die for your level, round up, and the second creature takes necrotic damage equal to the roll's total as Wails of the Dead sound around them for a moment. You can use this feature a number of times, equal to a proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So level 3, it's going to be, half your dice rounded up, so you're looking at 2 dice 6 damage. It's not going to include your weapon damage, your magic items, your dexterity bonus, or whatever you're using, nothing like that. It's just the sneak attack die damage. So I do feel like this ability, it's okay at lower levels, but here's the nice thing about it. Not only does it scale with your sneak attack damage, but it's also scaling with your proficiency bonus, because you can just use it more and more times per day. And that's what I find to be quite interesting about this ability, is that it is one of these rare abilities that just keeps getting better and better as we go. And a lot of damage abilities don't scale particularly well. They might do like a lot of damage when you first get it, but 10 levels later, you're just like, it's a little bit of damage, But this is, one of those exceptions, right? And I think it's pretty good. It is necrotic damage. That's usually pretty good, though not necessarily the best. But, still fairly reliable, at least if you're not fighting a lot of undead. A range of 30 feet is also pretty good. So it's not a bad ability by any means. And it gets better as we go. Anyways, at level 9, we get Tokens of the Departed. When a life ends in your presence, you're able to snatch a token from the departing soul. A sliver of its life essence that takes a physical form. As a reaction, when a creature you can see dies within 30 feet of you, you can open your free hand and cause a tiny trinket to appear there, a soul trinket. The DM determines the trinket's form, or has you roll on the trinkets table in the Employee's Handbook. I don't think most people really care that much. Although you might. Maybe it's a cool flavor thing, right? You can have a maximum number of soul trinkets equal to proficiency bonus, and you can't create one while you're at your maximum. But you can have more than one at once, which is kind of nice as well. You can use soul trinkets in the following ways. While a soul trinket is in your person, you have advantage on all death saving throws and constitution saving throws for your vitality is enhanced by the life essence within the object. Pretty good. I mean, hopefully you're not making a lot of death saving throws, but, Constitution saving throws, though, those are pretty common. And as a rogue, we tend to be pretty good at dexterity stuff. Constitution stuff, not necessarily so much. So just getting that extra proficiency is actually really nice, in my opinion. And that's just a passive thing. As long as we have at least one of them on us, we've got that, right? Number 2 option. When you deal sneak attack damage on your turn, you can destroy one of your soul trinkets that's on your person, and then immediately use Wails from the Grave without expending a use of that feature. So that was our one that allowed us to do damage to a second target, equal to half our sneak attack die rounded up. So this allows us to just immediately do that without even using one of our charges, which is, again, pretty good. Number 3 option. As an action, you can destroy one of your soul trinkets no matter where it's located. When you do so, you can ask the spirit associated with the trinket one question. The spirit appears to you and answers in a language it knew in life. It's under no obligation to be truthful, and it answers as concisely as possible, eager to be free. The spirit knows only what it knew in life, as determined by the DM. This is probably not very useful. It doesn't have to tell you the truth. That's a bad sign right there. But B, I find a lot of these divination type things can be really good if your dungeon master is looking for a way to help the party out. Then you can be like, hey, what if we cast this, or what if we cast that? It might be a neat way to sort of help the DM to help you, right? But some DMs aren't looking to help you at all, and they don't have something planned for it. They've got like that one clue that they gave you and you overlooked it, and now they just want you to keep looking until you find that one clue. Darn it, that's what the adventure was made. Go find that clue. And in that case, this ability is probably not going to help you out much. But either way, just having at least one on you just for permanent proficiency on Constitution saving throws is pretty good. And being able to, destroy it to possibly deal extra necrotic damage to a second target, also pretty good. At level 13, we get Ghost Walk. You can phase partially into the realm of the dead, becoming like a ghost. As a bonus action, you can assume a spectral form. While in this form, you have a flying speed of 10 feet. So, not particularly fast. But you can hover. Attack rolls against you have disadvantage. You can also move through creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain, but you take 1d10 force damage if you end your turn inside a creature or an object. Honestly, that's not a lot of damage at this level, though. So, could be worse. You stay in this form for 10 minutes, or until you end it as a bonus action. To use this feature again, you must finish a long rest or destroy one of your soul trinkets as part of the bonus action to activate Ghost Walk. This is a really effective scouting tool. The fact that you could just go through floors or walls or whatever else. It lasts 10 minutes. You are incredibly slow, like I mentioned. Like a 10-foot fly speed is not a lot. But it lasts 10 minutes, which is a good amount of time. You can renew it again. I mean, you could potentially be doing this for 20, 30, 40 minutes, right? Maybe even longer if you want to use all your soul trinkets on it, But overall, it's a very nice scouting tool. I mean, disadvantage to be hit sure doesn't suck either. So I like that ability quite a bit. It is 13th level, but honestly, it's kind of like etherealness, and most of those spells and magical items don't come around until this type of level range anyway. So I don't think it's particularly behind the curve or anything, Overall, I think it's a pretty decent ability. At level 17, we get Death's Friend. Your association with death has become so close that you gain the following benefits. When you use your Wails from the Grave, that's that necrotic sneak attack damage ability, you can deal the necrotic damage to both the first and second creature. So, again, pretty nice. The fact that you're getting to, basically it's 1.5 times as much sneak attack damage, essentially, because you're doing 1.5 to the prime target, and then you're still doing that half damage to the other target. Very good. At the end of a long rest, a soul trinket appears in your hand if you don't have any soul trinkets, as the spirits of the dead are drawn to you. So that is it for the Phantom. Overall, I think it's pretty decent. I do like... I think the level 3 abilities are both okay, but especially the Wails from the Grave gets a lot stronger as you go. I think that the tokens of the departed, your soul trinket things, are pretty useful. You've got a lot of different ways you can use them, and most of the effects are pretty decent as well, right? Even if you just want to use it to do more damage, there's nothing wrong with that. That makes it a pretty solid use. The Ghost Walk ability, like I said, it's a great scouting tool. Granted, you're already probably fairly good at sneaking and scouting, but this allows you to do things like, float through walls or ceilings or floors or whatever else you want, right? And that can be a pretty useful ability. The level 17 ability, granted, you're not getting it till 17th level. That is pretty late to be coming on board, but I mean, it just makes your sneak attack damage even better. Granted, that extra damage is going to be necrotic, like we mentioned. So, keep that in mind, right? But, just upping the damage to the main target is probably the thing I like the most. There's nothing wrong with doing a bunch of damage to a secondary target as well. But let's face it, there are fights where maybe you only have one big primary target that you have to hit. Or somebody killed the secondary target, but you're still trying to kill the main guy. And every round now you're dealing that sneak attack, but there's no secondary target to hit, right? Sometimes splitting your damage multiple ways just isn't a good way to approach a fight. I'm not saying that it's always bad, or even that it's normally bad, but I'm just saying in a lot of fights, you may want to just focus down one target, eliminate it from the fight, and then move on to the next. That way you have less things just concentrating attacks on you, less things hitting your casters, forcing concentration saves, all that kind of stuff, right? And just being able to kill one target, move to the next, move to the next, move to the next is usually a pretty solid tactic. But, this can help to set up a secondary target. So if you kill the first one, this one's already taken a bunch of damage. So, that's okay. But then at level 17, you're still getting to do that secondary damage, but you're also upping the damage to your primary target, which is not bad. I should also probably mention, a while back, probably 6 or 8 months ago, Treant Monk did a video with, based on, I think it was called the Double Phantom. I'll try to remember to put a link to it in the description, but I always forget. But I'll try to remember this time. Maybe I'll make a note on it as soon as I finish the video. But anyways, one of his viewers, and I believe somebody he played a game with as well, so maybe one of his patrons, had made a build, and he took Magical Secrets and grabbed, or Magic Initiate, sorry, and grabbed Phantom Steed, and then he would kill his Phantom Steeds to make trinkets if he had to, and then just recast the Phantoms and stuff. And he would use the aim ability that we got from Tasha's, but he mostly, I believe he was playing a melee rogue. It's just that he would let the horse move, so that way he's actually not moving. It's not his own movement, so he'd have advantage on the attacks. And, and he could Booming Blade or whatever else he wanted to. I think he might have been using a ranged attack, actually. I can't remember. I should have rewatched the video before I did this, but I've just sort of figured I'd tack it on at the end. But it was a pretty high damage build. The fact that he would just always have advantage. Oh, I think he was ranged because he took Elven Accuracy. That's right. So then he, grabbed Elven Accuracy as well. So now he has super advantage. And, because they didn't have much else to do with the reaction or the bonus action on the Phantom, he figured it's a pretty nice fit. And he just kind of the theme of riding out on your Phantom Steed while stealing the souls of the dead on your Phantom Rogue. And it was a cool idea. I definitely liked it. And it did pretty good damage too. So, anyways, I think it's a pretty good subclass. I think it's one that, the level 9 ability, in my opinion, is really kind of a must-have almost. It's not that the lower level abilities are bad per se, but if you just took 3 levels of Phantom and then multi-classed out, it means that your Whales of the Grave, no matter how many proficiency bonus chances you have to use it per day, you're doing very little damage because your sneak attack hasn't scaled, right? So this is one I feel really benefits from just going straight class rogue all the way through, or at least a lot of levels of rogue. Maybe you multi-class out way later, right? But you're probably going to want at least 9 levels. So I do think that, if you're in a campaign that doesn't allow multi-classing, maybe DM doesn't like it, or maybe you just don't want to, or you're kind of a newer player and you're not necessarily comfortable with multi-classing a lot, I think this makes a really solid choice for somebody wanting to play a rogue under those circumstances. Or really any circumstances, honestly. It is pretty good. I still think that rogues are kind of in the lower half of the classes, in my opinion. The lack of spell casting and also the lack of extra attack is kind of an issue for me. But who knows? That could just be my own personal bias. I certainly like multi-classing with rogue. I just don't normally like straight rogues. However, if I was going to play a straight rogue, this would definitely be one of the main contenders in my opinion. It is pretty good for a straight class rogue. So anyways, that's the video. That's everything I have on this particular class. Our next one, we're going to be doing the Inquisitive Rogue. Yeah, I apologize in advance. But it's one I haven't covered yet. So, sooner or later we might as well do it. But then after that, we'll probably just move on to Sorcerer. I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on Rogue. I've done a bunch of multi-classing videos all using Rogue in the past. So, a lot of the Rogues we have covered, even if it wasn't in their own specific subclass videos. But I figured we might as well at least cover a few of the subclasses I've never talked about yet. So, here we are. But yeah, next we're going to be moving on to Sorcerer. And of course, we're going to be going with our Sorcerer multi-classing tier list to start things out. But yeah, that's kind of the next couple of videos there. But anyways, thank you for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and most importantly, leave me your comments in the comment section. I love reading everybody's comments. I'd also love to hear if anybody's actually played a Phantom Rogue and what their experiences with it were, because nobody at my table has actually played one yet. So, that's probably also why it's taken me a while to do the video on it. Whenever possible, I like to rely on actual played experience over theory crafting, Not that theory crafting is bad either, but a lot of times something you think is going to be good doesn't quite pan out the way you thought, or something you thought was okay turns out to be like absolutely great. And, a lot of times you don't see that until you actually see it. That was terrible wording. But anyways, that's everything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.